Welcome, welcome, welcome to another edition of the Hour of Politics. Here I focus on Liberia. Here I focus on Liberia. We educate, we elevate, and we promote all things Liberia. It is about education. It is about responsible, balanced, and factual information dissemination so that our people can know what is happening. In today's edition of this Hour of Politics, we are looking at Archie Ponpon, an activist who did something some both people are calling unorthodox, something outside of the ordinary, something never heard of before in Liberia. He set himself on fire in protest for salary arrears we understand being owed to staffers of the judiciary branch of government, Archie as head of the judicial staff force team that have been protesting for months now for what they call their unpaid salaries, set himself on fire. So how did that come to that? How could this man be so brave to harm himself in this manner and at this level? What was going through his mind? I mean, is it frustration so grave that he will go to the level of setting himself ablaze, and by doing so will that solve the problem? So I'm here to break it all down and provide some analysis. Stay with me. As you know, this is the Hour of Politics. Is you want to get balanced, fair, and responsible, talk show. This is where you want to be. Yeah, at the Hour of Politics with me, Anthony C, your host at this network focused on Liberia. And so we're going to get to it in no time. I don't want to waste your time. So we have never in our lifetime as a country seen anything like this for a Liberian to be so passionate and to be so committed to his advocacy that after several attempts for that which he has been advocating for to be resolved, we use a measure that seriously harm himself with the belief that by doing so will bring a serious and the needed attention to the issue for which he has been protesting, and not him only, also his friends his colleagues that work at the judicial branch of government, that is the Temple of Justice. So, folks, have you ever heard that before in Liberia? And I'm sure you're going to say, no, we have never heard anything like that before in Liberia. Yes, we have heard about, this in other countries, maybe something similar. We are reminded about Mohamed Bouazizi, who set himself on fire, I believe, that happened in Tunisia. And as a result of that protest action in which he set himself ablaze, it enacted an anger. That anger translated into protests around the Arab belt. The whole Arab belt went into, a wave of protest, and many dictators in the Arab world got dethroned because of the extraordinary and extreme measure that were taken by Mohamed Bouazizi, in which he set himself ablaze. And we can say to you, because of that protest action by Mohamed Bouazizi at the time, many leaders in the Arab world, in many Arab countries, today are not in power because that led to the Arab Spring, according to history. So this is not unique to Liberia, but this is completely unheard of in Liberian history and politics. We have never seen that before in Liberia. what we know about Liberia in terms of protests, and I'm not going to go too much, but in recent protest history, starting from the days of the CDC, it was just about toting castings, on a university of Liberia campus, student protesting, even they had a casting of Samuel Doe, and we saw where, it led some of those students, some of them entered into Bela Yala. They were chased, there were guns being fired, and then coming to the days of CDC, even during Charles Taylor time, there were protests on the University of Liberia campus, or at the campuses of the University of Liberia. ATUs, we moved there, they will flog people, they will put some people in jail. So Liberia has its own protest, but in a different faction. We have never and ever seen anything like that. That Archie Ponpon has resorted to by setting himself ablaze as a result of his frustration. It is a fact that Archie, along with Stafford at the judiciary branch of government, have been protesting for several months in demand of their salary arrears. According to what that has been reported, the judiciary branch of government owes them about 12 months in salary arrears. We know the government has its own side of the story that I will be bringing you to, so that you all can get what the protesters or the judicial staffers are saying, what the government is saying about it, and then you will be in a position to make your own judgment. But the focus also going to be on the action by Archie, why he did what he had to do. The only thing we can think about is frustration, because he has been very consistent in protesting along with his colleagues at the judicial branch of government in demand for their salary. And these people have families. And as many times we've heard people in the circle of the government that salary is curring, but we continue to hear these stories about people being owed. Many of you are aware. People at the legislative branch of government, staff was there protested many times for their arrears. Many of you are aware of the health workers, the nurses, and other medical practitioners. They protested. One of the protests that went viral was the one that happened at JFK at the time when the rain was falling. The nurses, the doctors, and other health professionals were under the rain with their umbrella protesting for their pay. That did not solve the problem. And again, in recent time, there was another protest. I believe they took their protest all the way to the U.S. Embassy. They were chanting, they were singing songs, "We shall overcome." So there has been so many protests in Liberia, especially in the government, for salary arrears. All of those protests that we have seen so far, including those ones that took place during the Ellen Johnson Sirleaf administration, we have never and ever seen anything like that, where an individual, based on the frustration or because of the frustration, will set themselves on fire so as to call the attention of the authorities for them to do something about their demand. We in Liberia have never seen anything like this. And so everybody sitting there and wondering what is going on with Archie. There are some people who are even saying that he has mental problem. Oh, really? Does Archie have mental problem? Why are people saying that this man has mental problem? It is because he has caused serious bodily or harm to himself as a means of demanding his salary. And they are saying that if he has succeeded in killing himself, would he have gotten the salary anyway? But let me remind you quickly that people protest to send out a message, a strong message, and to also call on the attention of the authority responsible to be able to do something about their demands or their plight. That is the reason why people protest. And so, but that is the argument other people are making. Whereas there are others that are saying that Archie has done something extraordinary. He has taken an extreme measure, because all of the measures that have been taken by all others in Liberia in demand for things like salary arrears, in demands for accountability, in demand for justice and any other thing that people have felt aggrieved about in Liberia, those measures were not extreme enough for the authority to step in and do something about it. And so Archie decided that he needed to do something that no one has done before. I am not justifying Archie's action, but it is Archie's right to do whatever he feels in his judgment that will call the attention of the authority to do something about his demand, but not only his demand, the demand of all of the judicial staffers. Mind you now, they have been protesting for months. They've been owed, according to reports in themselves, that the government owed them 12 months. So the thing here is that why will the government of Liberia be owing these people 12 months and can't pay when we continue to hear apologies and surrogates of the government, including officials of government, on record that the government is on time when it comes to salary payment? We will appreciate anybody from the government to come and provide the best explanation and understanding on this matter, because I am confused, and I believe many Liberians as well are confused. How can a government claim of having a surplus budget? In the words of our finance minister, Samuel Twelve Jr., how can you have a surplus budget and then you owe legislative staffers, you owe judicial staffers, you owe health workers, you owe people at the National Housing Authority, you owe people at the Water and Seaway Corporation, you owe people at Rabat International Airport, all over the place. More than 15 to 16 agencies or institutions or ministries of government. Employees are being owed, if not 9 months, 6 months, 12 months, and 13 months. And yet, our finance minister will say to us, the government recorded a surplus. If you have surplus, why don't you take care of these employees? I believe if these employees were paid, were given their just earning as they are claiming that the government owes them, they will have no reason to be in the street. I have never seen anybody protest for salary arrears when the government does not owe them. I have not seen anybody do that. So wherever where you see Archie's action, it is your right to interpret it that way. But mind you now, if Archie were paid, if his colleagues at the judicial branch of government were paid, and the same can be said about all other employees in the government who have protested because the government owed them, if the government has taken care this issue of salary or salary arrears of employees, Archie will dare not get in the street. Everyone who protests for a reason, and Archie reasons, from what I'm told, primarily having to do with his salary arrear, and not only him, the staffers at the legislative, I mean not the legislative, but the judicial branch of government. So let's look at some of the reason why Archie and Archie has been protesting along with his fellow co-workers. I said to you earlier, Archie has been protesting. In fact, he, my understanding, is the leader. He's the chairperson of the legislative staffers who have been protesting for their salary arrears. So they have been at this for several months now, and the government has been pushing them back and forth. At some point, they had a press conference in which I listened to Archie saying that the Chief Justice, they reached a deal with him at a certain point that they were going to pay their money. But when that time came, the Chief Justice or the judicial branch of government could not live up to the agreement. So they had to protest again. So there have been promises made to these staffers at the judicial branch of government, not one time, not two times, but so many times. But those promises were never fulfilled by the government. And so this is where Archie frustration is coming from, that many times they've been paid, and I mean they've been promised that they will be paid, and the government will not fulfill that promise. And then here, Archie listening to the finance minister reporting to the Republic of Liberia that they recorded a budget surplus. So what has the government done with that budget surplus? I think it would be prudent for the government, to use the budget surplus to pay the people that they owe. But that has not been the case. If you are the one, will you not feel frustrated? Will you not? That somebody owes you money, and there the person telling you, hey, though I owe you money, I have $1 million surplus in my account, but you owe me just about $1,000. Why will you not pay? And the person continue to demand and protest, which is the right thing to do. Protest, the last time I checked the Constitution, is guaranteed on our laws. And so why do you think it was not right for Archie and his colleagues to have protested for their arrears? That's the best thing they could have done. You don't expect them to take matters into their own hands by causing violence all over the place. So I think Archie acted, he did the right thing that anyone would do, except that he did something that is, completely extreme, because all of the considerable measures, the understandable measures, the usual methods that are being used by protesters, Archie applied all of them, yet his demands or their demands could not be met by the government. And so in his frustration, he set himself ablaze. There are people now coming after Archie saying maybe he has a mental problem, and that is why he did what he did. They have forgotten completely that it's been months. The judicial staffers have been protesting. It's been months. They have protested and protested, and the government made promises to them. The judicial branch of government, through the justice minister, not the justice minister, but the chief justice and other leaders at the judicial branch of government have made promises to them, and they could not fulfill the promises. And they may have family. Like all other staffers at the judicial branch of government, they have families. They have mouths to feed. We all know how it is in Liberia. In some family, there's just one family member working. And it is that income that person will go and share with the rest of the family members for school fees and other things that the family need for their survival. And the government will not be able to fulfill after they have made promises to these staffers or these employees. So you can see Archie's frustration. So he felt that this is the only thing he could do at this point. After multiple protests that yielded no results, he needed to do something. So for those who are saying that he has mental problem, well, that is your judgment, and I'm not here to disagree with you, but I'm only telling you, had Archie been paid, had his colleagues been paid, has the government fulfilled all the promises they have made to these people, Archie would not have had reason to have set himself ablaze. So for you to say that he has mental problem, that is your judgment. Now the second reason Archie took this extreme measure, from our understanding, is that he was suspended or indefinitely on the order of the Chief Justice, Francis Kokwa. And also there was a writ of arrest that came from the ranks and file of the Supreme Court or through the Justice Ministry, according to front page reporting here. There was a writ of arrest against Archie that he needed to be arrested because he has been protesting consistently, and he had even had a one-man protest against the Chief Justice. So, folks, whatever way you look at it, Archie Ponpon did what he felt in his best judgment that he needed to do, or to call the attention of the authorities, because the government owes them about 12 months and they have protested many times. The government has made promises many times and they will not fulfill the promises. So folks, this is Focus on Liberia. We are discussing the extra measure taken by Archie Ponpon in demands of salary arrear for people who have been working with the Temple of Justice. So let me read something to you here quickly. Let me read something to you here quickly. But before I can read that, let's look at Archie history. What is his history in terms of protest? Because many people might be wondering, but how could this guy have done this? What is the history in terms of protest? So let's look at Archie's history. Archie is a known activist in Liberia. Let me share with you. In 2012, Archie protested. He had an anti-gay protest in Liberia. At some point around 2012, during the administration of President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf, the issue of gay rights was surfacing in Liberia. And Archie was one of those who said, no, we can't have that here in Liberia. So Archie was able to stage an anti-gay right protest in Liberia. Then in 2011, Archie also protested against President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf and the Norwegian government for awarding then President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf the Nobel Award, the Nobel Peace Prize. Archie Ponpon again protested. The reason was that Ellen Johnson Sirleaf took part in the war that led to the death of 250,000 Liberians. So how in the war she could have won the Nobel Peace Prize? And our understanding is that the institutions that awards the Nobel Peace Prize is in Norway, or Norway has something to do with that. And so he went ahead. He went ahead and burned the Norwegian flag in Liberia. So this guy has a history of protesting fiercely and taking extreme measures in making his voice, heard on whatever issue that he was passionate or is passionate about. So yes, in 2011, he protested again the award, the Peace Award or the Peace Prize that was given to Ellen Johnson Sirleaf in 2011. And during that protest, he set the Norwegian flag on fire, and he did that in Liberia. Not stopping there, in 2018, just about 70 days into the administration of President George, we are in 2018, Archie Ponpon again, he went on a 3 days hunger strike. He did that at the embassy of the U.S. government. He was seen lying down on the floor with his placards all over him. For 3 days, he would not even drink water. At some point, Archie could not move. The hunger struck him down to the point that he got unconscious. They have to run there and take him out of that place and rush him to the hospital, and he survived. So, and the reason for his protest was he was advocating for transparency in government. He wanted the Weah government, or President Weah, he wanted President Weah to have declared his asset, but not only declare his asset, but to also make it public. He was protesting also against officials of the CDC government. He wanted officials in the government to have abide by the code of conduct law that require that before any official of government can take office, they must declare their asset. And so in that protest, Archie was on this hunger strike for 3 days at the U.S. Embassy. And hunger took hold of him, and Archie nearly died. So this guy has a history of taking extraordinary measures in calling authorities' attention to whatever issue that he cares about or tries to advocate about. So this is Archie's history. So let's come to what has been happening so some of you can understand it better. And folks, stay with me here. Very soon I'll be opening the phone lines so that some of you can call in, because I really want to hear from Liberians. How do you feel about this, extreme measure taken by this gentleman? Is this justifiable? uh, was his action to set himself ablaze, something that that you can look at and say, well, yeah, it is justifiable because he has done everything. He and his colleagues have done everything to call the government attention. So I mean, after all, maybe he's doing it to himself anyway. I'm just curious to hear from Liberians how they feel about it. And I know some people are condemning him. Some people are even calling him hero. So stay right there, and I will be opening the phone lines so quickly. I'll be concluding my analysis here. Let me show you something here quickly. So this is from Front Page Africa reporting here, talking about Archie's and his colleagues' accusation of Francis Ponpon, the Chief Justice, and also leaders at the judicial branch of government, not also meeting their demands, and the government as a whole not meeting their demands for their just salary. Let me read this to you. And Front Page quoting somebody who does not want to be known here. So he instructed that Archie be suspended for time indefinite. This is why you see Archie stage another protest by going to lie down on the Chief Justice car. That protest wasn't about salary any longer. It was about his suspension. Earlier, I told you Archie was suspended indefinitely on the order of the Chief Justice. And so Archie staged a one-man protest to obstruct the Chief Justice from leaving. So this guy have been taking these kind of measures, to call authority attention to whatever he was protesting about. When he did that, he instructed the Chief Justice. When he did that, he obstructed the Chief Justice from using his vehicle. The Chief Justice was going for a program, but he rode the powder vehicle. A complaint was sent to the Ministry of Justice, and subsequently a writ of arrest was issued against him. According to the source, though the writ of arrest was issued against Ponpon over a week ago, he has continuously dodged it while at the same time staging one-man protest against Chief Justice over his suspension. So you see that there was a writ of arrest against Archie Ponpon. Despite a writ of arrest, the government would not arrest him. So I mean, if you look at it, there is like the government was trying or issued a writ of arrest, almost like trying to intimidate him, to silence him. But Archie would not back down. He felt that he was advocating for the right thing. He worked for his salary, and he wanted his salary to be given to him. And because the Chief Justice, as head of the judicial branch of government, that agency, that institution, or that branch of government have made promises to them, and they did not live up to those promises, he felt that he needed to embarrass the Chief Justice so that the Chief Justice would do something about it. And so when the Chief Justice saw that, I said, well, what is this guy up to? Why the guy can't leave me alone? So the Chief Justice went to work, reached out to the Ministry of Justice. There was a writ of arrest that was issued for his arrest. But despite that writ of arrest, he was never arrested. Why? Why will a writ of arrest be issued from an individual and the government will not follow through? So it was like a kind of charade. They were trying to do that to intimidate him. According to Front Page, he was seen at the grounds of the Temple of Justice. He was not in hearing, but he said he was dodging it, but they could see him. He was protesting. He continued a one-man protest all along. And so that writ of arrest was issued after he was suspended. So you could see Archie's frustration here. The man can get his 12-month pay. He and his colleagues can get their 12-month pay. There have been promises made to them. They can't fulfill the promises. And because he's been vocal and continued to protest either alone or along with his colleagues, the Chief Justice felt that he needed to be suspended. He was suspended indefinitely. That was not enough. They issued a writ of arrest. Despite all of these things, yet the government will not fulfill its promises to this judicial staff force. Despite a surplus budget, they will not fulfill their promises or the due or the just salary that these judicial staff force have worked for honestly. They will not get it. So there is Archie in his frustration setting himself on fire. Let me read something to you here quickly also. Many of the workers who joined the protest held the opinion that Chief Justice Ponpon unilaterally cut their salary and was deliberately refusing to pay them despite months of arrears. The aggrieved worker in a protest The aggrieved workers in a protest a fortnight ago chanted, Francis Kwakwa, roll, roll. This prompted the intervention of the Minister of Finance, Samuel Tuer, who immediately went to the Temple of Justice to talk to the employees. He despaired rumor that the Chief Justice had illegally taken away the Liberian dollar salary of the judicial staffers. Said the minister, the information that the Chief Justice owes you judicial staffer money has taken your money is misleading and it's wrong. I have been watching people raining insult on the Honorable Chief Justice. That is not correct. The Chief Justice has not taken a dime from any judicial worker. The government itself owes the Chief Justice. As Minister of Finance, I am telling you that. So nobody should insult or accuse the Chief Justice or associate justices of taking their money. So this thing got serious to the point that the finance minister, during one of the protest event of the judicial staffer, he walked there and he tried to talk to them that this thing you're doing, accusing the chief justice did not do anything to your Liberian dollars pay. You need to stop this. Neither the chief justice nor the associate justices have taken a dime from you, according to the finance minister. So you need to stop this. I don't know whether the judicial staffers, are they insane? Do they not have senses? Do you think that these people, the government will not owe them and they will be protesting for months and months for their salary? So I don't know. Mr. Samuel Tuer need to find time and come on a responsible platform, or he can go on anywhere to explain this thing. Because it's not only the digital staff that are protesting. I said it again. Across ministries and agencies, people are protesting for their salary. So let him come and explain this. How come these people are saying they're being owed 12 months and the finance minister is saying that is not true? The Samuel Tuer need to come clear and explain what the truth is about this whole salary arrears, for which the man had to set himself on fire. So see how the finance minister who talk about surplus budget there, going to the defense of the justice, not the justice minister, but the chief justice and the associate justices, telling the people they have done nothing to your money. So are these people lying? Are the judicial staff lying that the government owes them? So there's some confusion there, but I want to believe that there got to be some money that the government owes these people, and that is why they are demanding. But let's go further here and get ready. Very soon, I will be taking your calls. Very soon, I will be taking your calls. Let's look at this. The minister told judicial staffer that the harmonization policy ended the Liberian dollar salary portions of their pay going forward beginning October, just as the formula was used to pay people in the labor ministry and everywhere. That's how it will be. This means you will notice a difference in your pay. That's clear. Added the minister, the judicial branch of the Republic of Liberia never used to pay taxes before. You are now paying taxes. That's not a court. Every citizen of the Republic of Liberia should pay taxes, but the judiciary was exempted. Under standardization and harmonization, this time you are paying taxes. So if you understand what Samuel Tuer is saying, he's saying that in the past, judicial staffers or employees at the judicial branch of government were not paying taxes, were not paying a dime to the government. I think that is news. And I believe that wherever you work in government, you should pay taxes. Because without taxes, how would the government raise money? So I understand that. But the part I don't understand is that is Samuel Tuer saying that because they have not been paying taxes, so they have taken that which they should have earned as their taxes for the 12 months? Is that what Mr. Tuer is saying? Mr. Tuer, I don't want to read too much or maybe wrongly into what he's saying. You need to come clean and explain this thing better. Mr. Twe said that they have not been paying taxes. He went further by saying this is not a court. And then he talked about standardization and harmonization. Mr. Twe, I don't understand your standardization. What is standardization? What is harmonization? So there are three things he's talking about. They carry on harmonization, they carry on standardization, and also now they have to pay taxes. So three. So it said that these three measures that the minister is talking about took away the 12 months arrear for the judicial staffers. Is that what the final minister is telling us? If that is the explanation, then we need to know how was the standardization done? How was the harmonization done? How much money was caught for taxes from their arrears? So does it mean that the total amount of money that was caught for their taxes, they won the amount they lost because of harmonization, and also the amount that they may be lost because of standardization equated to the total 12 months that they are claiming that the government owes them? If that is the case, then let the final minister make that clear. Because the final minister said that the people have not taken your dime. So all the noise you're making that, the judiciary branch of government owe you 12 months, that is not true. So, Mr. Twe, this is what you are doing. As a finance minister, you are not explaining your harmonization. There is no data anywhere about the harmonization, how it was done, the costs that were made, ministry by ministry, or if not ministry by ministry, then sector by sector, or profession by profession, how much they were making, how much were taken away because of harmonization, how much were taken away because of standardization, how much were taken away as a result of them paying taxes now. We need that record. Maybe if you provide that information, Mr. Finance Minister, it will become clear and there will be some form of understanding. Until that is done, these judicial staffers are left with no other alternative other than to demand that which they have been receiving in the past, but they could not receive in 12 months' time. Now, according to a source in a government that focus on Liberia reach out to get better understanding of what is going on. And what the source told us is not also clear to us. The source says that, look, when they brought the harmonization and standardization, there was some cuts made to some people. And because of the cuts, what they were making had dropped. And that was the explanation the person said to us. Now, with this news that the person gave us, you can now say that, yes, that their harmonization they've been talking about, it took away money from other employees in the government. But if you ask the folks in the government, they will tell you that, oh, we didn't call anybody pay. Then another thing is that while the government was doing this harmonization and standardization, at the same time, they were employing people. The goal of the harmonization, from our understanding, was to balance, people's salary based on equal work. In other words, equal work, equal pay. If you are a driver, no matter where or which ministry, all drivers should make the same. All nurses should make the same. All secretaries should make the same. That was never the case, and this is true. So harmonization came in to standardize it and balance everything out. But while they were doing this thing, we saw cuts were made here and there, even though folks in the government were denying that. But if you look at the case of the judicial staffers, the reason why they can't get their pay, and if there's anything true about what Samuel Twe is saying, even though he did not get the specifics, we can conclude that now that they're paying taxes, some money being taken away, harmonization took some money away from them, standardization took some money away from them. But where are the facts? Where are the numbers? Where we want to know the steps that were used. Mr. Twe, you need to explain this thing. You are very eloquent. You are good at talking. You have to come and make this thing clear for our people. But let me bring something to you here and quickly start sending your calls in now. As you can see, the number is on the screen. That number is 605-313 6004. Enter the code 7194003 and I will soon be breaking you in. Let me bring you something. Those who are going after Archie Ponpon, in protest, the essence of protest is to take a measure that you would not normally take to call the attention of authority. Yes, I agree the one Archie used was very extreme, but I understand his frustration. If the government had not owed them any money, he would not have done it. I don't remember the last time Archie was protesting because his wife did not cook. I don't remember the last time he was protesting because the government did not bring current. I think he's a reasonable guy. He looks at things when they are unfair, then he goes and protests about them. But let's leave that. Let's look at other people that have protested. I'm going to show you this image. As you can see here, at some point there was a protest in China. Many of you who are students of history and who follow current events, you might be aware of it. 10 men became the enduring image of the protest at the Tiananmen Square. There was a protest some time ago in China. You know China. China is not a democratic country. This protest was going on. It was huge. And there was an order from the Chinese government to disperse the protesters. And the Chinese government, through its military, the military took away ammo tank or war tank, as we call it in Liberia. The giant size militarized equipment. They are big guns, moving guns, were taken into the street to disperse or chase the protesters out of the Tiananmen Square, where the protesters had gathered for days. And when the Chinese government felt threatened, they called in the military and they started moving toward the protesters with moas and war tanks. As you can see in that picture, there's a man standing and he had 2 flags in his hand. I could play the video, but I don't want to do it because of time. I want you to come in quickly. So as you can see that there's the man standing. And he stood in front of the war tank and he could not move. This man was serious about what they were protesting for at the time in China. And it will interest you that even at the time, the person who was driving the war tank tried to dodge him, he would move on the other side. He said, I will not move from here until you guys can adhere to our demands. It happened in China. And here I see Liberians denigrating and saying that this man is insane for taking extra measures to call the government attention to their plight or to their demands. You see that? So that was what he did. Now I'm going to show you another image. At some point during that very protest, that man you saw who challenged the war tank, or the Moa as we call it in Liberia, I think that there were about 150 of those tanks that were moving in line. Those of us who watched CNN at the time, we saw that. 150, about that number, moving to the protesters. And this guy said, I'm going to stand in front of them. That human being in there, they have conscience. And he stood in front of it and he would not move. And that's what he did. And at some point in his protest action, when the guy who was driving the war tank stopped, the guy did not understand that. He climbed on the war tank. And let me show you here quickly. If you can see the picture, there he is. And he said he wanted to see the guy who was driving this war tank. He climbed on it. As you can see in the image, there he is. He opened it. And he wanted to see who was in that tank. And he was trying to tell him, look, do you not know what we are protesting for here? Do you not know that we are your fellow citizens? And you bringing this war tank to us to do what to us? To destroy us. He wanted to see whether the person in that tank was actually a real human being with conscience. That you would take that weapon to your own citizens to move against them. He wanted to see. This was an individual taking extraordinary measure to call the authority attention. So what we saw Archie Ponpon doing is not anything new in a world of protest. When people are frustrated about a government or the authority not listening to them, after many cries and pleas or protests, they try to do something on the ordinary. From the beginning, I told you Muhammad Bouazizi Dele, and we saw the Arab Spring came about. So Archie also has a history of taking these, extreme measures to call authorities' attention. So what he has done is not anything new. We have seen that before. So, folks in cyberspace, I'm ready to take your calls now. I have completed my little analysis. Get your phone calls coming in so I can take them quickly. I will take calls for about 15 minutes. So get your calls coming in. You are watching Focus on Liberia. This is our program, The Hour of Politics, with me, Anthony C., your host. I want to see you. Let me check now to see if we have a caller here. The man, that is Ben Jonah. Let me set my things in motion here and bring Ben in. Ben, I think you are live. Welcome to Focus on Liberia. Quickly to the issue.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man, on this election day, and we are here talking Liberia. That's pretty good.
Yeah, my man, I
Yeah,
want to do this thing quickly so
I,
I can go watch the result. Maybe I'll get my 6 pack before doing that. Let's go.
I got my back already. Anyway,
Good.
look, I honestly listened to everything you said and the examples that you gave. Everything seems to be in place. But here is where I differ. Having to come from the medical background, the issue when it comes to suicide is a whole different ball game.
Mhm.
It's not anything to encourage. It's not anything to you cannot uh even give it one sense of a breath
Mhm.
to even make the guy to feel that what he did was right. Because as about 79 to 80% of suicide happens in undeveloped countries.
Mhm.
And we are trying to do the best we can to eliminate these kind of things. Here is the thing: there is a reason why there's a reason why suicide is normal a crime in America. It is not considered a mental health issue. It's because we are thinking that if you can think about taking your own life, something must be wrong to a larger extent. It means that you are not thinking right. Is the government treating IT right? No. But you cannot make the solution worse than what caused you to have even come over there. If actually took like what actually did to himself now. If he has a wife, if he has kids, if he has family home, how how does his action help them? It doesn't help. The only thing is that it, it put more burden on his immediate family because now they are the one who still have to take care of him. If he was the only breadwinner for his family, now he becomes like he's not able to provide bread for them. And that is the reason why those of us who work in healthcare will always tell people, "Oh, suicide is a no-no. There is no way we can encourage it, and we do not want anybody to even think that the best way for you to solve your problem is through suicide. No,
Thank you.
it is. Look. Yeah, like to say, look in North Africa,
Mhm.
what Wazizi did. The Arab Spring is worse. It is worse than it was after that guy did that thing. There has been no change, and there is no history anywhere in the world where people who have committed suicide have changed anything. If that was the case, the Middle East would have would have been a better place for us today. But that is not the case. Thank you very much, brother.
Thank you, man. Dan,
Yeah, thank
Jonah.
you very much.
All right. He joined me
Yeah.
from Minnesota
All right.
here. Let me bring in Dr. Baton Kula. Dr. Kula, welcome to Focus on Liberia.
Yes, Anthony, it's nice to be on.
Thank you.
And I would like to say to everybody that what Archie Ponpon did was sad indeed, but I don't think it's anything that could be compared to what Bazizi did in Algeria, which led to the Arab Spring. I think the Liberian opposition is going about this and thinking about it in the wrong way. Now, what would have been the worst thing that could have happened if Pompon went to jail? First of all, it would look bad on the Liberian government that you're sending an individual to jail because he led a peaceful protest to protest for his rights to get his duly earned salary. Now, this individual goes and burns himself, hoping that it'll lead to this thing spreading around the world and it'll make the government look bad. Okay, but now this individual has burned himself in a country that has a poor healthcare system, that probably his people don't have the resources to pay to help him get well. Now, if he dies, then what? So I think Pompon went about this the wrong way, and we need to think these things through before we do it. Liberia isn't in the position that Algeria, Sudan, Zimbabwe, and all those other states were in. Those states were in a condition wherein the government, the president, had been in power for over 30 years. He was a brutal dictator. This man, George Weah, was elected duly by the masses of the country. He had overwhelming support. Now he squandered that political capital. He's not as popular as he used to be. Take him to 2023 and beat him at the polls. But doing all these little things to create a sense of, or an Arab Spring or a protest that would lead to bring him down, I think it's the wrong way to go. And Archie Ponpon, I feel sorry for him. He only burned himself for I think a bigger show than meets the eye, and he's going to suffer in the end. And I don't think anybody should follow this or even encourage this to happen. He should have gone to jail, and then we make the president and the Chief Justice look bad in the international world by getting Amnesty International and others involved for sending a man to jail because he led a protest to get the rights to his salary that he duly earned. That's the way to go about it. I don't think burning yourself is the way to go about it.
Thank you, Dr. Kula. Thank you so very much. All right, who is my next caller here? Be this person. Caller, your name yes says CC, but the number end in 1236. Quickly to the issue. You have a minute.
Okay, this is Pia Kamano from Maryland.
Okay.
We have all been following the story about this guy burning himself. Unfortunately, he did the worst thing, but I think people should take into consideration some of the reasons why people do certain things instead of prejudging him. We're talking about mental status here. Everybody that was around that man doing that yesterday, throwing the gas on himself, I would assume as a country, as citizens that are looking at other people burning themselves just to castigate them in the wrong way, I thought it was wrong. We are not entertaining him to commit suicide. It is not right that he committed suicide, but we have to be able to look at the causes of some of the reasons people do some things. I am speaking to you on the same point before, just a little scoop of the district representative Samuel Enders. I saw him role. At a point, I felt exactly what this boy had done. This man suppressed my rights in Liberia by overtaking my entire family, all right, estate, and literally pinning us. Do you understand the pain that we were going through sitting so far? Therefore, if I was in Liberia, I was ready to bullet this man, and I would tell you straight up, I was ready to bullet this man. So if I have done it, we did not sit and think what this man had done to my family. This is exactly what I think Ponpon was going through. This man suppressed my right to steal from my family. he take all documents into his power because.
Are you there?
Yeah. I'm sorry. Just bad that for me we are just getting this man wrong. Let's stop just getting this man wrong if we cannot help him as a population. He is hurt right now. It's wrong that he did it, but at least we should look at the reason of why he do some of these things and try to incorporate that with society so that we can be able to help each other when it comes to the point instead of using politics to continue to hurt each other's feelings.
Thank you so very much. Thank you. All right. My next caller here is Aliu Kamara. Mr. Kamara, quickly to the issue. You have a minute, sir. Go ahead.
Yeah. We'll see how that plays out. But let me just say in advance, congratulations to Donald J. Trump for his victory today. He's going to be the next president for the next 4 years. And we are looking to see a flourishing economy just as we did before
My man,
the
you are off
pandemic
topic.
hit the United States.
You are off topic. I want to get to the election.
No, I just wanted to say that before I get on the topic.
All right, go ahead. You have
I
a
just
minute.
wanted to say that in fact that. Yeah, okay. Look, the whole thing here, you know, I like the whole political analysis and everything he did, but this guy thing. But the guy, this is the stupidest advocacy I've ever seen to just join Battle Kula. This is the stupidest, nonsensical advocacy I've ever seen. He burned himself for no reason. He will live with the pain his children will suffer because of his stupid action. If you watch the tape, the whole thing was
I disagree
show.
that he burned himself for no reason. He had a reason. He was protesting for something. Yeah, the reason. He was suspended. I agree with you that I would never do that to myself. There's no way I'm going to do that. All right. So he was suspended indefinitely. There was already an arrest against him. He has been advocating for 12-month pay according to the judicial staff, or they owe them. So those are reasons why he did that. Even though I disagree with him burning himself. So don't say he has no reason.
No, but when I said no reason, it simply means like the few words I said before I said no reason, I said it was nonsensical. Now, if it don't make sense, then it's null and void. Because you think about this. If you watch the tape, the whole thing was a show. And for him to be that stupid, to put himself up front as a sacrificial lamb, to destroy himself because he's trying to appease other people. You saw the lady standing next to him telling him, lay yourself on fire, lay yourself on fire. Everything was a show. Everything was stage managed. Look, we all criticize the CDC. We all criticize Judge here. But you go to the point where you become a fool. But let me just say this to the Liberian people that are watching. What happened at the Temple of Justice, you cannot blame the executive branch of government for it. The salary payment that they are talking about, we have been trying to investigate this thing since this thing happened. That they are talking about, it doesn't really fall on the lap of the executive branch of government. The whole problem is coming from within the Temple of Justice. So a lot of people insulting Georgia immediately and insulting the executive branch of government. You have to look into this thing thoroughly. But here is my recommendation to the government. Please watch that video, watch it thoroughly, and there were people who were collaborating with this fool who let himself on fire, and this people must go to jail. This people must go to jail because they told him. I saw the lady telling him to lay yourself on fire. Lay yourself on fire. Somebody was even saying, what a gas is. What a gas is. Did you watch that tape, Anthony? Let's be honest. That was the stupidest advocacy that anybody can ever do. If my son did that, I'll kick him out of my compound completely. Thank you so much for having me.
All right. Thank you, Aliu. Aliu Kamara there, making his point. My next caller here is Oliver, phone number ending 2651. Welcome, Oliver.
How you doing, sir? Thank you for having me. Listen, the whole issue here, when I watched it, I think was yesterday morning, was beautiful. First of all, you said it may have there was what they call arrest warrant that was issued this gentleman. And then the other gentleman just said the same thing. other people saying, let's fire against that. What I was saying is that I think I will blame the government to the situation that they watched the gentleman put himself on gas, and nobody was there to rescue the situation to say this guy needs help. You understand what I mean? Because even when we always compare ourselves with America, there's no man who will be standing in the area of where we have security, we have officers, and they would take gas and put it on the set, and nobody would come to just go and rescue him right away, except something that he already led and placed on himself. The second thing is that, I would always like to, look upward to the whole situation. Yeah, we talk about salary. Somebody blaming somebody for not paying them and all of that. So what about the other brothers and sisters that right now will cause Zoko? They lied to them. They told them there was revolution and they were heroes. And they were going to give them promising jobs and all of that. And what happened? Right now, as we check on the street, you yourself, I remember you talking about Zoko. How they on the street, they didn't do nothing against that. Majority of those Zoko, that 60 or 70% of those Zoko were children that they lied to. That they say after the whole situation, there was going to be a revolutionary hero, they were going to find a good future for them. Do you see any of the children that's doing protests and lighting themselves on fire? But then you, the educated man, who's supposed to have a rational idea to know that my future or my country's future is at stake, and you light yourself on fire because you say you want to prove to people that you are a hero. To me, it was irrational, and I hope he did well. I'm not wishing that anything wrong happens to him, but as to I would blame the security. When they saw the situation, the moment that gentleman put gas on him, they're supposed to go right away to rescue him and take him to a place where he can be evaluated until otherwise order.
Thank you.
So that's my own percent.
Thank you. Caller with phone number ending in 7845. Quickly to the issue. You have 1 minute. I want to go watch the election result quickly.
My name is James David, calling from Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. This issue, I see a lot of people don't put in the situation in their shoe. Okay. Working for 12 months in America without pay. They put in your aside for house rent. Your children cannot eat. Maybe you don't know where your kids are or where your wife is. Maybe your wife is leaving you. They don't know. They're not looking at that situation. Even in America, in 2 weeks, they're not paid and they will complain. And nobody can work in America. Some will compare ourselves with America. I saw a year I live there talking, nobody, because he's making money. He working 2 weeks, they pay him. But if he work 1 month, even 3 days, they don't pay him. I will demonstrate. You even go send even car. You will say even about the boss when I enter the house. Even if one people say, "Oh, kill me." I've seen it. But now some of them, when the situation is not in their shoe, they talk whatsoever they're able to talk. That guy, the first thing, the men that were in a uniform were issuing red arrest, but he was not able to stop the man from putting gas on himself. There were more than 3 there. And the man said he's going to burn himself. What they were doing, they stand and look. And the man put gas on himself and they walk away. They said, go and arrest him now. They know what they were walking away. There were none of them to go, even police situation. In America, you don't do it. If police do or whosoever from the court can stand, you think you're going to clear your side, that people are going to cuff you. That people are going to handle you. They're going to handle you. They're going to stop you from doing the action. But they saw, okay, just in case, now don't look at the other way. The people are demonstrating the mountain of cooking, they say fire were close to the place. They brought police to pull the fire on and use tear gas and whatsoever and candle. What about the man coming burn the whole temple of justice now? Why you couldn't control the issue? You're going to stop it. So see the entire temple of justice are blazed with fire too. What will they say? You can't actually say, I'm going to wait on the wall and put fire on the wall. Then what will they say? Because nobody posts stop to me. But people are hearing in America say, you couldn't do it. You know what I mean? 12 months you work, nobody pay you. You know how many times you are going to the same thing happened to somebody that painted the senator in their house and representative in their house. They promise the man. They won't carry the man to solve it, but they don't care. They don't care about the man's family. How they've been going around, in the morning, telling the man will carry the coat. In fact, they see the coat running behind the man. They see people, they're not speaking on behalf of the man. So I don't know why Liberian people want to say that that's not really eating a Burger King or whatsoever. We want to put our more. Why happening in Liberia? Put yourself in that situation, then you will understand the situation.
Thank you so very much. Thank you so very much. I'm going to take my final caller here. Caller with phone number ending in 5986. Quickly to the issue. You have a minute. Are you with us?
How you doing? Are you talking to me, sir?
Yeah, I'm talking to you. Quickly, go to the issue.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you, Attorney. Thank you very much. You know, for those of us that work in the people that have intellectual mental disability, we know exactly what happened to that boy. Depression. Depression. If you can give me at least 2 minutes, then you will end up with me. Depression. I heard the doctor say always. He always come up with negative views on Liberian issues, and which of course I don't support him. He's a doctor. I believe as a doctor, you should evaluate somebody's mind exactly when the person is speaking. But he always makes statements that do not represent him as a doctor always. He's in America. He sits in America, drink cold water, live under the people's light. 24 hours his light can go off. Pay his children's school fee. Can you imagine? Let a doctor put himself into that man's shoe. Depression. What I'm saying, the doctor knows. Depression. You know what depression does to me? Sometimes if your mental state is not well cooked with certain situations, we can see the thing right here in America. You can become a millionaire in America. The next day you see yourself in the gutter or under the bridge. That depression. It happens here. Why the doctor can't speak directly to that man? Or why he can't speak on what happened yesterday, that man's state of mind. The man's real was disturbed for that 13 months without taking pay, going to his children crying on him, Daddy, we are hungry. And let's just take this for example. Woman in a house, you're working for 13 months. Even 2 weeks if that doctor works in this country, and you don't see his correct paycheck, how will he feel? The next day he will be calling the HR. What happened? My pay is cut. What happened? I don't have $15 or $20 on my pay. And he's sitting down there calling the man crazy. Look, we all will contribute towards our ball health. It will be a story forever to be in the legacy of Dr. Weir, and in the legacy of Francis Popo, who from our home, who hails from Nima County. There were decent men that read Francis Popo. But Francis Popo
before you conclude, I'm not cutting you off. Before you conclude, to the point that you're making about depression, when people are facing a situation that they can't comprehend, they do things that they would not normally do. And we should understand that it is because of the situation they are facing. In 2008, when the U.S. economy crashed, the entire auto industry was in a meltdown. There was this man. He was working with one of the auto industry, making good money, and he lost a job. He was followed. All right, and guess what the man did? He said he had no money. So he killed his family and killed himself.
The entire family.
He had no income. He had no income. And he would not like to see a family suffer. And that time, the economy was losing jobs, like 800 jobs, and nobody was hiring at the time. I'm saying this to support your point that when people are faced with a situation, they will do things that they would not normally do. To just come at them and just judge them in a harsh manner. And this man would not do this thing if he was not facing the issue of salary. I would not do that. I could not have done what that guy did to a family, to kill my own family. But that is how some people respond to situations that they face. Go ahead.
Okay, and for a little bit of to add to buttress to what you said, I have a church member, old man. He promised me 2007. The old man promised me to build me a college in my home, Zoga County District.
Right.
I called my people. All of them sat. We talked to them. The old man spoke with them. We were about to go to Liberia 2008 when this Great Depression came about, a financial issue. The old man money that he's supposed to take to carry me in Liberia to my people that were lobbying through my church people. The only thing that I want is for my county, for my district, because we don't have a better school. I'm from a district that have nothing. I think some people listening to you, they can, when they say, my people, yeah, we were about to go to Liberia March when this thing happened. You know what the old man did?
No.
$3.8 million in 3 days.
Disappear.
Because he's a lot of these things member. Everything went. And the old man told me, say, "Bro," the old man was shaking. He said, "Bro, I'm sorry. I can't do nothing." You know what happened to the old man? The old man got struck right away. And myself, I gave up. I didn't call my people for almost 3 years. When I went back home, they say, "Where is the school?" And I begin to explain to them. What could I say to my people? But if that boy can go put himself on fire, it will go in Judicial legacy forever and ever. And it will be on Francis Poko watch that when Francis Poko and Niba County man, now you might have blood there, now they let blood there. Koko was here when he was corrupt, when he failed to pay the staffer. Another person came and hang himself and put fire on himself. So thank you very much for having me. Depression, Liberian people, depression is not good. So nobody should come on your show to talk to that man the way the data talk to him. It's completely something that I can't even understand. Thank you very much, Tony.
Thank you. Bye-bye. All right, folks, in cyberspace, let me read a few comments. I got something juicy for you. Don't go away. Very, very juicy for you. And I'm going to be closing with that. Let me read a few comments here quickly. I want to start watching the election results. Nelly Jones, this guy is dangerous. Jojo, we don't even trust Front Page Africa. Siakamano. That's why people should not have stand around. I don't know what you're writing. People should not have stood around watching spray himself with gas when knowing depression is a kind of mental illness that varies in different types of people. You arrive with this history. Those are some of the things that, all right, that person is making their point that Jojo again, that the right thing Ponpon did, but we will see who will live with the pain. Okay, Nelly again, I am only happy that his mental condition was directed to himself. Harrison Tubaji, good day, my brother, a friend of mine watching me all the way in the monoland. Benjamin Nyangpe, I believe, a speedy recovery, Comrade Achi. Florence College Chief Justice Francis Kpokpo is a criminal in a crow. Why 12 months no pay? Oh, that person is talking big thing there. Knowledge Jewel James, but I think every one of us are criminals in this country. I'm going to leave that one. James Davis, right? Twelve is a criminal in any case since he became a minister. That thing he's telling to Mr. Twelve. You better be careful. I don't know. Harrison Tuba Ibe, good evening from my end. He's still greeting me here. Maurice Demba, the action of Mr. Ponpon will get the attention of the international community to see reason to send us a Moses to save us from this Pharaoh. My brother, Liberian still looking for hero or savior. There's no savior anywhere, my friend. Let me see this one from Jackie. Jackie is saying it is easy for this color to sit in their comfort and condemn others. All right. This one is from Joanna Johnson Winker. Aliu, you are freaking insensitive. Yeah. Jackie again, thank you, caller. The previous caller would not last a week in Archie's, will not live. Yeah, I think live in Archie's shoe, or last, she said, would not last in Archie's shoe for a week. Bob Bro writes, if it was in the state, was that lady going to stand there and say to him that he should burn himself also? Too many comments here, but time has cut off with me, folks. Let me show you something, and then I can close the broadcast. I want to see the election result and go get my 6-pack. So, folks, this is what I have for you. The protest about salary arrears that we have seen in this government, we have never seen it in any other government. And that is a fact. And I'm going to give you some. At the first branch of government, the legislative branch of government, staffers have protested more than 4 times for their salary. Today, we are talking about judicial staffers at the Temple of Justice. If you don't know, let me announce to you, they have protested more than 5 times. The nurses, the healthcare workers in Liberia, they have protested. From the best of my memory, I remember 2 protests, huge ones. People at the National Housing Authority, the government owes them around 13 months. Rabat International Airport, government owed them about 12 months. Water and sewer, if you can remember, they protested at some point that the protest was so massive that the managing director at that time have to escape from the protesters. Those videos are still around on Facebook today. At that time, water and sewer employees were being owed around 7 months. I can go on and on and on and need you. Protests that have taken place in Liberia in less than 3 months of this government because of salary arrears. We have never seen that before. But what we have seen before is that government in the past, have governments in the past, Liberian government in the past, have owed employees salary up to the same amount the government is owing employees. Example, during the Charles Taylor time, especially the AFL, they protested many times for their salary. But you could understand we had just come from war, and so I would understand that. But yet, Charles Taylor too, during his administration, people were not taking pay about 6 months, 7 months, and 8 months. And when Christmas was coming during that time, say we'll give you 2 months for Christmas chicken. So we have seen government in the past owing people. But the protest that we see in this one is massive. We have never seen it before. And in a relatively short time, less than 3 years, to see that these people are being owed in a faction, we have never seen it before. Because our understanding that during the Ellen Johnson Sirleaf administration, salary was almost on time. Government did well by paying people. And so to have seen these, huge arrears being owed by our government is just outstanding. Outstanding because while we are talking about these arrears, the government wants us to believe that it registered a budget surplus. But let me give you something for you to watch for, and then I'll end the broadcast quickly. As you can see on my screen right there, I'm displaying some numbers for you. In Liberia today, security is a huge concern. There are too many deaths that have been reported in Liberia. And so we are thinking that the security sector of the country will be funded so that they can be able to do their job to protect the citizens. And mind you, one of the major responsibilities of any government is to provide security for its citizens. But if we look at the allotment that have been sent to the security apparatus, it's just not something that you can easily swallow. Let me read some numbers for you and I'll close the broadcast. This is for the AFL. This is the allotment, the projected allotment of the armed forces of Liberia. Again, if you look at, we'll go into history a little bit. In fiscal year 2018-2019 budget, under the Ellen Johnson Sirleaf administration, $13 million was allotted to the AFL. And this amount was allotted to the AFL at the time we have United Nations peacekeeping mission in Liberia. The AFL were being allotted around $13 million, to be exact, $13,480,663. That was the amount that were allotted in fiscal year 2018-2019 budget to the armed forces of Liberia. Even though we had the unmade peacekeepers just about the time they were leaving. All right, just about the time they were leaving. That was the amount. Even if I can take that away, but that was the amount Ellen Johnson Sirleaf administration allotted. And then when President Weah came to power and he took over from there starting from 2018, but at the time the budget was already in process. All right, so that was the amount allotted. Now, 2020-2021 budget, look at how much that has been allotted by our current administration, the Weah administration. $1,900,083. Look at from 13 to 1 million. So it almost like taking away 11 million plus, or almost $12 million. Do you see that huge gap? Hey, I'm not a numbers guy, but I got the information from the Finance Ministry website. So those of you who understand it better, maybe you can make sense of it. But as a guy who does not understand numbers, I'm looking at this figure allotted to AFL fiscal year 2018-2019 in 13 million. And then it is the government, the current government has projected in its 2020-2021 budget, 1,900,000. That is profound. And they are allotting this insignificant amount at a time people are dying. Some people are saying people are being killed in Liberia, and that the police does not even have the capacity to respond to armed robbery in the country. This is the amount our government is contemplating or has already allotted in the 2020-2021 budget for the armed forces of Liberia. This is unacceptable. This is unacceptable. If you think what I'm saying is not true, then look at the budget there, the information you see on the screen right there. Go to page 191. The budget code is 203 and the budget line is 100. And I'm telling you, that is the 2020-2021 national budget. That is why our government is contemplating or giving to the AFL. How would that, I don't know how to explain it. Again, you are those of you who know numbers, that's what you have right there. On that note, folks, in cyberspace, this is how I will come to the end of this broadcast here. I focus on Liberia. My name is Anthony Sien, and I brought you the Hour of Politics here. I will see you next Tuesday in another edition of the Hour of Politics. I'm going to go get my six-pack quickly and go watch the election results. You want to know who I'm going with? Look behind me. What color you see? The dominant color. The blue. That's me right there. Bye-bye, folks. La, la,